Welcome to the DeFi Standard, and this is Mickey B. Fresh. And today we're getting into Polysign Deep Dive number 4. So recently the Polysign CEO, Jack McDonald, was just on another podcast, and he talked about the Polysign infrastructure and the whole ecosystem with Cowen Financial and Asset Management and Standard Custody, which is the digital trust bank out of New York, which is now licensed under the BIT license as a trust bank, and also the proprietary private blockchain by Polysign. So we have a couple clips that we're going to show in this video. So let's get right here into the first clip. And nothing I say in here is financial advice or tax advice or any type of financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. So let's get right in here and listen to what Polysign CEO has to say about the XRP ledger and the Polysign proprietary blockchain built by Arthur Brito and David Schwartz.
Yeah, and at Polysign, what we're doing is building institutional grade infrastructure that is designed to improve custody and settlement in capital markets, essentially is what we're doing. And we do it in a unique way through proprietary blockchain that has been developed by Arthur Brito as well as David Schwartz. David Schwartz, I'm sure you know, he's the current CTO and chief cryptographer at Ripple. He's on our board. He's an advisor to the company. He and Arthur were responsible for designing and developing the XRP ledger. And they've taken that generational experience, really, if you think about what the Bitcoin chain is and look at how that chain evolved to what XRP is in terms of speed of throughput, transaction costs, security, time, et cetera, really second generation blockchain technology that Arthur and David developed. They've developed the third generation for us that even has more scalability and throughput and security features to it. We are unique in that we're the only custodian. We have two basic business products, if you will, that we're bringing to market, a custody product and a settlement product. The custody is first to market. It's called Standard Custody and Trust Company. About a month ago, we announced the final authorization by the New York Department of Financial Services. We're a fully authorized trust company now in New York, licensed to provide custody and escrow services for digital assets writ large. So beyond just cryptocurrencies, but other types of tokenized or digitized assets that meet our asset vetting policy, we can support. And we're really excited about that. We do it in a unique way through a blockchain that we built that's native, a private blockchain to Standard Custody that allows us to essentially run business logic through HSMs. We developed our own multi-party computing algorithm, didn't use any third parties. And we run that business logic through HSMs in a way that results in a highly secure, better than cold storage sort of solution, insured with our partners at Marsh and institutionally focused. So we're really excited about that. We're working very hard with Cowen, who just led our Series B round, and blockchain.com, another strategic investor, to help them fulfill their business aspirations in the U.S. in terms of products that they want to bring to market.
So two things here that he really brought up. He dropped some breadcrumbs on actually how the Polysign proprietary blockchain is going to work. So when he says business logic with HSMs, he's basically saying, and they called these smart HSMs in the past in some of their press releases, this is using smart contracts with HSMs, and then he drops another part in there called multi-party computation. And you've seen our video from a couple of days ago I did about SBI Wallet. They're doing the same thing with multi-party computation. And this is going to be the evolution of just wallets in general. So it's going to start in the institutional side and will eventually make its way to retail. And companies like blockchain.com or Cowen can offer these to retail customers at some point too. So it will make its way down to retail. Another thing he says is that this is the third generation. So they took the XRP ledger and they built an even more secure, more robust, higher scalable proprietary private blockchain for Standard Custody. So it's a digital bank that sits on this private blockchain to do custody services and to do escrow. So those are the two business products that they're going to be rolling out. They're starting with custody, which is already in production. And that's why they say they've been stealth. Stealth doesn't mean it hasn't been live. It's been live for years. You don't get a trust bank license from before you start up. So they've been live. So just everyone knows that Polysign has been live. It's not like, oh, when is that going to go live? It's been live. and it's just in the background in stealth. I'm not sure when they'll announce further, but we could see that Jack's going around, the CEO of Polysign, onto different podcast and panel discussions. So he said also in this video, I don't think we have a clip of this part, but he says we've met with 35 institutions in the last 2 weeks. So that means they're actively marketing and talking to different players in the industry, probably crypto, and also in the institutional side. And it was interesting how he brought up, David Schwartz is an advisor on this, but this is Arthur Brito is the co-founder, and he was also a co-founder of Ripple. This is his project. He's the chairman of the board. It's his. And I know we don't know much about him, but just know that this is a Ripple founder who's creating this whole Polysign blockchain standard custody. And now they have Cowen Financial, and then they have things like blockchain.com, which you don't hear about much in crypto media, but they are a huge lender in the whole market making space. So let's go on to the next clip now that we have from Jack McDonald.
On the retail side, our settlement product really envisions a world where you can trade and instant atomically settle the broadest possible range of asset classes, ultimately amongst individuals and regulated parties that would be allowed to enter into this ecosystem. We're calling it PolyNet, that essentially would allow you who wants to trade for a private company share in a company, let's say in Polysign, and I want to take that and swap it for a unitized interest in a VC fund, and that person wants to swap it for a fractional share in a real estate building, and that person wants to swap it for a cryptocurrency. All those different transactions in varying degrees could be supported today with individual siloed sort of marketplaces. What we want to do is bring more liquidity and break down the barriers of those silos to interoperate and interconnect, be a connective tissue between all those different sort of platforms and protocols, and memorialize events that happen on each one of those chains, not store everything on our chain, but basically just memorialize attestations and allow for the problem of who's going to go first. You and I don't know each other, yet we want to swap assets. Mm-hmm. Who's going to go first? And you can think of it as almost a guaranteed settlement that almost works in an escrow-like way, where I get proof that your private company shares are unencumbered and free to trade. You are who you say you are. You get comfort that I am who I say I am, and I've got the funds to buy that. And then we can take memorializations of those two affirmations and then allow an instant atomic settlement. And that's really powerful.
Now, what he's talking about when he's saying these siloed protocols, these silo platforms, he's specifically talking about exchanges and individual blockchains. So basically he's saying Polysign is going to be the glue that's going to connect these all together. And I've been saying for a while, the exchange model that we have right now is not going to be sufficient for institutional adoption. It's not. It's actually a barrier to entry for institutions. They're not going to just sign up and have custodian institutional accounts at Coinbase custody. It's not going to work like that in the future. And we're going to see atomic trade. So I know there's been a lot of talk of, you can't just swap from one asset to another. Oh, yes, you can. Now, XRP could provide that liquidity on Polysign between some of these different assets in liquidity pools and other things. But yes, atomic P2P settlement is going to be a thing, and they have an escrow service that's going to allow that. Atomic settlement is one thing that doesn't happen on these exchanges. They're just recorded in a database, proprietary, private, and nobody else sees that. Now, with Polysign's blockchain, when he says memorializing, it means attesting to an actual trade that happens, and then it's recorded on a blockchain. Yes, it'll probably be a private blockchain, but it's stored. It's not in just some random database of Coinbase, for example. So this is what's going to allow institutions to come in, and it's going to be really what jumpstarts the next phase of the market infrastructure. We're going to need these institutions and market makers to trade between each other and not just on siloed platforms. Also now, you have these decentralized applications that are just on one public blockchain and nowhere else. You're going to need to connect those to different wallets. And we're getting there with Web3, but most things are just on Ethereum. Now, Polysign, with their private blockchain, is going to allow somebody to have a multi-party computation wallet, where that wallet is separate from, say, like how you would with Coinbase. You have your assets segregated into an own unique wallet, which will have maybe permissions on it. And then that wallet could attach to different Web3 applications or decentralized applications. And that really opens up the door for the next phase of the market. And we're going to move past the speculation of just up and down on exchanges to where these applications will be institutional and retail ready. So let's move on to the final clip that we have here. And once again, Polysign's CEO is talking about DeFi. This is the future, and this is really where we should be looking. We shouldn't be looking about the government confiscating our XRP away. So let's stay focused in front of us on what is reality and what's really happening. And these are the facts. So let's stick with that. And here's the last clip.
DeFi is absolutely a topic of conversation that people are starting to wrap their heads around. What does it mean? And what are the different opportunities? But what people are very attracted to is how you fully service the asset and leverage it through yield farming or through staking or through any of these number of different applications. Personally, I'm wildly bullish. I just made the largest personal investment in a fund recently, in a DeFi fund, and I see that as the future. I think we're just in the very early innings of where this segment of the ecosystem is going to go.
Yeah.
And he tells it to you right there. He just made one of the biggest personal investments in a DeFi fund. So now he's a believer. This is somebody who comes from this traditional asset management at UBS and at Conifer Financial. So this is somebody now seeing like this is the beginning of a new era here. He even said in the last one, we're going through the vortex. DeFi is going to be the future. When the guy, CEO of Polysign's talking about just yield farming in general, it should perk up your ears to be looking at where the future is. And this is where the future is. So this is what we're going to keep on focusing on. This is why we call the DeFi standard, because we believe that's the future of this crypto markets. And that's where you'll be able to participate in and earn additional yield streams instead of just sitting around waiting for Moon. So I'm Mickey B. Fresh, and this is the DeFi standard, and I'm out.